Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther in for duty. The Swami with the suave mustache. That's so many names now. Woo! I only gave you a little one tonight. I could have kept going for another 5 minutes. Oh, let's go! Sup? R8RBEAR. Oh, I don't hide it. Win, lose, or draw. Raider fan with no flaw. Ooh, I like that one. Often imitated, never duplicated. That fool with no hair that shouts like Ric Flair. Woo! Woo! The R8RBEAR. I'm rated! Alright. I'm Raiders! Twice on Sunday. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. R8RBEAR family page. Appreciate you all. But first, I ask you all to join me for 10 seconds. To in your mind, just close your eyes for a moment, or keep them open. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what religious faith you are, or who you pray to, or if you pray to no one. Send positive energy for me tonight. For my good friend, Mark Vargas. His mom's in a tough way. You know, that stuff's personal, so I don't want to go into it to great depth, but I'm just going to say he could use our energy tonight. So, Mark Vargas, I see you. I love you, brother. Hang in there. You know, everything happens for a reason, brother. Even if it's bad, everything happens for a reason. Just keep that in your mind, you know, and move forward and be strong for your family. Much love. R8RBEAR. Me, meow. Tradish! R8RBEAR live. First comment. Woo! MVP tonight goes to S.A. Big Dog. What are you doing in here? Dragging the gold medal into the dog pound of all places. Come on, S.A. I have the worst old joke ever that I'm always down with my essays, and when someone said why, I said, hey man, when it was early in the morning and we were starting class, my teacher came up to me and he said, give me your essay. And I said, I'd never give up my essays, Holmes. She meant our essay homework, and yeah, dad joke. Second place silver medal goes to Mark and Mrs. Vargas. I got love for you, Mark. That was for your mom. Appreciate you, brother. We're going to look out for her. You know, things are going to be better, brother. Just keep that positive vibe. You know what I mean? Just stay positive for her. Third place, my bronze medal goes to Ramiro. Woo! Cash flow. Castro. I mean, it would go to him if he had the rights to that nickname, but no. I'll stop when I get sick of it. I'm not sick of it yet. It's been only like 7 years. Facebook, gold medal, numero uno, el jefe. And tonight, we assign a new, reigning, defending, heavyweight champion of the world, Carlos Boy, kids. Oh, now it's not all fun and games anymore, is it, Carlos? Because now you've got the weight and responsibility of the belt. And by the way, there's going to be somebody right on yo, shut your mouth. I'll say your donkey. With the silver medal, LP, that sultry voiced son of a monkey, Lucky Pace. I'm loving this, man. You guys, you got something good going here. Third place, my bronze medal goes to the benefactor. One more time, R8R BEAR family page, Steven and Mrs. Shaw. Appreciate you all tuning in. Much love. Honorable mention goes out to my good friend John the Leon, watching me on YouTube, and Niecy Tweet Thomas, one of my favorite people. She has the cutest grandbabies and babies. And honorable mention to Mike Henderson. Just skirting right there at the edge and almost winning a medal tonight. What's up, Joe Holman? Welcome to the show, brother. Appreciate you returning one more time. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Speaking of enjoying the show, Steven Shaw! If you enjoyed the show, please consider a subscription to R8R BEAR family page. It's just $5 a month and you can cancel at any time, but you won't want to because you get some of the best Raider Nation news, a lot of fun, a lot of funny. All right, so I'm saying I'm funny. I mean, I can think I'm funny. It's not that arrogant. It's not like I said, oh, I have this great mustache and I'm incredibly handsome. No, stop that. We're going to talk about football. I'm what? 2 minutes into my show. All right, 5. I'm kidding. All right, so here we go. What's up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. If you're on YouTube, please just click the damn thing. You YouTubers are really pompous. I don't know if he doesn't really please me or really make me laugh at the things that he says or his information. Why should I give him a subscription? You mean even though it's free? I mean, just do it. There are sometimes I don't do it, because there are certain people, they just do stuff about, dogs or their babies and things like that. So sometimes I won't subscribe to those, but otherwise, usually I just subscribe to whoever. Jesse Parker, my fashion designer in the house. What's up, JP? Jesse, I wore the other shirt today. Very cool. Hanna-Barbera. Love it, man. Armando Madrano, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Tony, make it dip. What's up? Gene T. I think Jason Morales is under the impression we should get Genty. And I think we're going to. I think that's going to happen, guys. Troy Gill, what's up? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you tuning in. Always there for R8R BEAR. But I would say this to you. How do I say this? If Genty is there, but that other big defensive end, Graham, is there, if that big defensive end from the Michigan Wolverines is there, I don't know, man. You're starting to get a lot of hype on that defensive tackle, and I know we're pretty stacked on our defensive line, but that's where you win football games. That's where you win championships to me. You got to shut another team's offense down, even if it means just breaking their rhythm consistently. In other words, getting so much pressure on down after down after down that sooner or later the quarterback and their offense starts to go backwards or fold simply because they can't get themselves going right. You know what I mean? Because your defense is putting them off their base. For example, the Niners back in the old days, they had that kind of, and the only reason I bring up the Niners instead of the Raiders because the Raiders really never had this. Not in my opinion, but the Niners had one of those offenses that kind of went like dance steps where you'd go 1, 2, 3 and fire, 1, 2, 3 and fire. And it was always this guy or this guy or that guy or this guy, but they never really deviated from that. So if they did deviate from that, it would turn into them scrambling or just throwing it into the ground or throwing it out of bounds, that kind of thing. They went and they attacked you the way they wanted to with timing routes, where everything they did had to be on that 1, 2, 3, deliver the ball. 1, 2, 3, deliver the ball. when you take them off their base like that, now they start to look, their quarterbacks would start to look, even Joe Montana would start to look down at the defensive line, and it would affect their offense, their game, and they would lose. And that was really the only way that you could really beat that team. Wow, what is that? Okay, sorry. There's something on my desk, like fighting with my feet. My Poochie's little bed. And also, the stuff you're hearing about this kid, I want to bring this up real quick because I think it's super interesting. The stuff you're hearing about this kid in the most recent mock draft, this one was done, let me give it to you so you can look it up later, because I find it funny that some of these clowns on the internet, they want to say that I follow their show or that I get my news from them when I've been on for 10 years, okay? This is year 10. I don't think I could go 10 years and my audience not notice that I was stealing material from other people. When in reality, is some of the news the same? For example, if I start talking about Geno Smith's contract being, am I really taking that from someone? You know what I mean? I just don't understand that. Not to mention, I always give, well, not always, but I most often give you guys where I got my source. And if I don't, it's because I can't. And then that information I get always differs from these other clowns because usually I'm getting it from someone on the inside. I just have friends. I'm just putting it that way. It's nothing special. I've only been able to do this, I want to say twice legitimately, but there was a third time. I almost got in with this guy, and he was really, really cool with the Raiders at the time when they were in Oakland. And he was just a guy's guy, you know, real chill. We would talk football. And he loved the Raiders, and he knew I loved the Raiders. And I told him, you know, we can talk about this. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. I'm not going to tell people that it was you. You know what I mean? And I'm not even going to do that now. And this goes way, way back. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to, you know, give up a source or someone that really helped me. And basically what he was telling me was insider stuff with the Raiders. And I felt like I told him to his face, I'm all, bro, this is so cool. I said, because I report this stuff. And if you just really don't mind, I'll use you as a source. I'll never give up your name. And this way, though, the nation is really getting the right thing. You know what I mean? And not just speculation all over the place. And that was why he started, you know, hooking me up. And that's usually how I try to say it to people is just look at it as I'm just going to give people the truth. That's the difference. And I'll say it's my opinion. I'll say it's a private source, but I'll never say who it is. You know, and that's just my way. So if anyone is listening and they feel that way, inbox me and we'll talk. Because that's how I got one of them. He just watched my show and thought I was decent. Okay, so there's an article right now. It's in Podcast Las Vegas Raiders. They're talking about it. It's on SI.com. It's also on Las Vegas Raiders Sports Illustrated page. Las Vegas Raiders Sports Illustrated.com page. And it talks about the defensive end of Georgia, and he's Jalon Walker. Now, Jalon Walker is kind of the case I've been talking about, where sometimes you pick the guy that you may not think warrants the 6th overall pick. Now, we did that with Tyree Wilson, and it burned us. But I would argue that with Tyree Wilson, there was more evidence that he was going to be a bust, i.e., bringing a big man in, paying him a ton of money, picking him at that high a pick so that the press now is going to hound him every single day. Is he mentally tough enough for that? We didn't look into that, and I can tell you personally that I happen to know that no, he was not ready for that. And there are guys who can come right into the league out of college, and the press can go crazy talking about him, and they don't care. They'll swallow it all and don't care because they know what it really means. Nothing. It's just words. It's just people's opinions. It's just memes, gifs, and insults. So what? You know, you have to understand, you're never, ever going to please everyone. Ever. Not even me. I know that's hard to believe. But you're always going to have people that want to take the other side of something, even if the other side is bad or wrong or sucks. You know what I mean? Take our politics, for example. Mike Henderson sending out prayers. Appreciate that, man. Very classy of you. Stephen Shaw, same. John Leon, same. Chris Strong, same. Appreciate you all. Corey LG, with the 6th pick, the Raiders select Mason Graham. You know, honestly, Corey, I like Graham. I've been saying that from day one, but I also have said from day one that the guy that seemed to come out of the war trust, that is Pete Carroll and Spytek, and, you know, their discussions seem to have gotten leaked and a reporter like myself basically said, hey, man, I've got it. There's a long time leading up to the draft, so things could change. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think it's going to, because I just watched Pete Carroll and Spytek go into a conversation where they had their phones. They were looking at, what the latest yik yak was, and then they were heard to be saying out loud, hey, I don't think that Genty's going to be there at 6, but if he was, whoa, that's a trigger that gets pulled, because I know I could do great work with him. That is right out of Pete Carroll's mouth. And by the way, I'm quoting almost exactly. His words were, I could, and again, it was like a macho reference, so I don't remember exactly what the reporter said the words were. I apologize. But it was something along the line of, if I get Genty, and then he just gave a woo, like, oh boy, and then he said, I could do some things with that guy. I could win games with that guy. You know what I mean? So, see, to me, if you get that emotional about it, you're saying, hey, if Genty's there, we should pull the trigger. So, to me, I'm riding on that. The Mason Graham stuff, to me, is real, but I'm riding on that. I like the Mason Graham idea. I want to say I like the Mason Graham idea better, because I always go on the side of the big man. You can't teach size. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas Genty is bringing speed and acceleration and agility and all those great things. But does he get banged up? This isn't college football. When he was in college, he might have been, Hercules. But is he going to be Hercules in the NFL? You know what I mean? Little Eddie Murphy reference there. Why have we not signed Lockett? And who are we taking at 6? And why have we not signed that defensive back from the Chargers? Okay, let's go one by one. First, we have not signed Lockett yet because you've noticed, and if you really pay attention, go back in your mind and think about this. Whenever the Raiders are building up for a run, retooling the team for the next season, they always work out the older players' contracts last for 2 reasons. One, because usually the contracts with older players, it's just easy. The contract, as far as the player, he knows what his value is. It's not usually as high when you become an older player, and they accept that. And then the teams are like, yeah, you're worth, X amount at this age and, time in your career. So, we'll pay that. And so it just works out. It's much easier. And then the second reason is with a veteran, you've got to give him time to relocate his kids and their schools and the wife and whatever she's doing. You always get like wives that become active, usually, not all of them, but they become active in certain outreach programs, churches, kids, kids, foundations as a donor and working with them, etc. All of those things get flipped on their head, and you suddenly go to another town, and now you're supposed to pretend that I care so much about this town, and I just want to save this town. When in reality, they'll buy that when it's the first team your husband signs with, but maybe not the third or fourth. And so we'll see how it goes. But I think Lockett will probably be a Raider. Other than that, it'll be retirement. He's at that age where he's only got a year or 2 left, and he's a wide receiver. If you've only got a year or 2 left and it's at a defensive position, oftentimes coaches will look at you because that's just physical strength and knowledge and getting to the point of impact and bringing a guy down. There's way more complicated with a wide receiver. You got to read more routes. You got to understand how to get open. You got to have that blazing speed. And if you're losing a step, Will Johnson, Corey, the cornerback from Michigan, is also someone that I know is on the Raiders' radar. But I think that's going to end up being mostly speculation, and only because Will Johnson is legit. I mean, the more I see the scouts talk about him, we're not going to be the only one that knows that guy's hot. So, I mean, in the article I read today, they called him the interception machine. When have you ever heard a DB coming out of college get the nickname the interception machine? I'll wait. You know why? Because there isn't any. They didn't even call Dion that. You know what I mean? And he was the interception machine. Matthew Lincoln, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Tell me if I'm wrong. This is my opinion. Raiders won't win anything until Mark Davis sells the team. What do you think? Young man, excuse me. I don't like to sound like a bitter Raider fan, but I'm going to go there with you. I tend to agree. I don't think Mark Davis is a smart man. I don't think Mark Davis knows what he doesn't know and prefers to be one of these rich in a bubble guys that if he hears everyone telling him how smart he is long enough, eventually he starts to believe it. And when a rich, wealthy person starts to believe in their bubble that nobody can touch him, all the internet stuff becomes irrelevant because, look, all the people in my bubble think I'm the man. You see what I mean? So he won't retire. He won't sell the team. He won't do any of those things because we as Raider Nation say it. You know, even I would argue even the Josh McDaniels thing was just a matter of he started to see what we all saw and got rid of him. But no, I don't. I see the Raiders always struggling until a real owner comes in that understands how to get real football people and then get out of the way. That's a science too. It's a science to hire a staff, bring them in, but have the courage and the conviction to trust your choice and walk away and let them work. And I don't know that Mark Davis has that. He's always seemed like a meddler to me. Tim Newport, the little prince and princess are up for a feeding, so I won't have to worry about your waking them up tonight. Right on, Tim. I appreciate that. Love to the babies. Oh, Carlos said he agrees. I like that. I got Nisi laughing. I like that. Get Mason Graham to shut down Kermit Mahomes. Bob, I'm feeling you. What did you do to your face, little buddy? It looks serious. What? Look. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, look. Oh, I love just twisting them and getting them ready for the day. Hey, I know they're small, okay? They only just grew up. It's a puppy mustache. Another 20 years, it'll be a nice long hook. My guy, Winchy. What's up, brother? Always glad to see you. Say hi to the missus, soon to be missus. Have a blessed night, my brother. Good night. Good night, Raider fan. Much love. I don't agree. I think that's how most of Lucky's comments start with me. I don't agree. Mark knows how to get out of the way and let his football people do their jobs. He's not his father or his father's yeah, Jerry Jones. Lucky, I agree with that. I mean, to be honest with you, if we really think about it, when does a son ever really follow their great father at what they do? I mean, they just normally don't. You know what I mean? They just don't. And even if they do follow them, they're never what their father was. You know, so it's unfair to compare him to Al Davis. So if that's what you're saying, I can agree with that. It's unfair to compare him to Al Davis. But I also don't think that it's unfair for me to say that they'll never win with him because I feel like he's emotional. I feel like he makes decisions sometimes based on emotion instead of analytics, money, and business practices. And I can give you times in his career with the Raiders as the owner where, he just did things that as an owner you had to kind of stop and go, what is that? I mean, Lucky, look at what he did hiring Josh McDaniels. The whole world was screaming at him, telling him the guy sucks. Players that used to play for the guy were telling Mark Davis, you don't want this guy as a head coach. Charles Woodson told him, and he still pulled the trigger. He knows the nation doesn't want Tom Brady. Goes and gets Tom Brady. Could get any other owner. What's Tom Brady done for us so far? Nothing. Nothing, except say that he's put his hand into deals that we weren't able to finish. Oh, I'm going after Ben Johnson. Oh, I'm going to go talk this quarterback. I'm just saying right now he's and there's a third one. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but there's a third thing that Brady tried to do for us that fell. So he's 0 for 3 as far as I'm concerned. And there was one thing he got right. I can't remember exactly what it was, so I take that back. He's 1 for 3. Or maybe 1 for 4. That sounds worse. I'm going to go with that. Putting foots in him. No, into Brady, not you, Lucky. Although I am kind of putting foots into you, Lucky. Because, I love it when you disagree with me. But I disagree with you on this one. I just think that Mark meddles too much. I really do. I'm not asking him to be his dad, and that feels like, the way you wrote that, it feels like you're saying to me, don't hold him up to his dad's standards. I'm not. I'm saying, even without holding him up to his dad's standards, he's a bad owner. Who you got at 6? Well, see, now when you say who you got at 6, Edward, that's a loaded question. Do you mean who I would pick? Do you mean who I think they're gonna pick? Let's start with that. First, I would go with Graham. I would go with the big defensive tackle from the Wolverines. I would. I don't think any of these quarterbacks is a future Super Bowl winner. I don't think any of these quarterbacks stood out enough for any owner to say, hey, that guy's got the right stuff and it's going to take us to a Super Bowl. Especially when it's only Shedeur, Sanders, and Cam Ward, and there's question marks about them that are legitimate. There are. I don't want to hear about Deion Sanders' dad and that makes him flossy and blah, blah. Not that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about accuracy and stats and body weight and things like that, and how that applies to quarterbacks that have come into the NFL in the past, 10 years, have almost the exact same build, picked at the exact same play. Where'd they go? Just saying. Joe Holman, hey, mock drafts are a dime a dozen, but one that I saw has the Raiders trading up number 2 with the Browns and snagging Travis Hunter. If they go up that high, do you know who I think I should get? If they went all the way up to 2, I would gather that meant there's a chance that the first pick is a quarterback or Travis Hunter. And then that would leave Abdul Carter on the board for whoever has the second pick. If that were us, you pull the trigger on Abdul Carter, for sure. Penn State, defensive end. Although I like this kid, Jalen Walker, though. I do. This latest mock draft has us going after Jalen. I like that pick. I think that makes a lot of sense. Vernon Moshman, all the talk of Ginty. I wonder if the Giants would shake up the draft and take him after the Saquon screw up. Vernon Moshman, that's a great comment. Welcome to the show. I have to say to you, yeah, that would definitely, if you're a Giants owner, remember, well, any owner, you're always trying to appease your fans. You have to always look like you're trying to win. Now, would the Giants bringing that kid in signal wins? No, not in my opinion. But would it signal to your fans, hey, we're going to go for it, though. I'm going into this draft. I'm going to go get guys. See, they like that. Fans like that. I like that. We want to see our guys go try to get those guys that could maybe fix a problem. I mean, obviously, we're all looking for the next Josh Jacobs. Who's going to fill that hole? We had nothing but scrap, Abdul Carter and guys like that, and not that those guys are bad. They're not bad, but they're not stars. They can't carry the load, so to speak, and we need to find that guy again, that bell cow back. What are your thoughts on Ohio State's quarterback, Will Howard? Jason Morales, welcome to the show. Well, first, Ohio State, so he's going to have a familiarity with Chip Kelly's offense. They worked together, so I don't mind that pick. But if we get him, it's probably going to be 3rd round, 4th round. You know what I mean? I don't see any of these quarterbacks making this super run like everyone thinks they're going to. Shedeur and Cam Ward have a chance. After that, all these other quarterbacks that are considered top 10 or 12, like I consider, I give you 3 instead of 2, that are top 12, like, I think there's at least 12 guys in this that you could argue have the skill set that if you have a good offensive coordinator, a good quarterbacks coach, they could probably mold one of these, 8th best quarterbacks, 12th best quarterbacks into an efficient winner. Now, when people laugh at that or question me or say I'm wrong about that, I try to remind them that just the last, 2 seasons back, the Niners drew in the 7th round with their dead last pick, which is referred to as Mr. Irrelevant. They pulled a quarterback that went to the Pro Bowl, that looked like he could take them to a Super Bowl, and looks like a guy that should be the head of their franchise for the next 10 years, including the years he's already put in. Do you see what I'm saying? 7th round, dead last. The owners in the league saw that. So they do not want to come up for Will Howard in the 2nd or 3rd round. if he gets picked in the 5th or 6th, he'll be lucky. Not that he can't play, because he can, but that's just the way the league looks at it now. First, they downgraded running backs. Now they're downgrading quarterbacks. Next, wide receivers, you got to figure, because they're the next big dollar figure. Keep chipping away a little bit. This is all just, the money's getting so out of hand that the owners want to keep making as much as they do. So they have to do all these little things and cuts in contracts to keep staying mega rich. That's all. I was one of your first audience members. What's up, Bear? Don't let the haters get you down. You're all about the facts. 100. Appreciate you, brother. No, I never let the haters get me down. That's why I'm smiling, brother. Love you, brother. Much love. This man invited me, asked me to speak at his wedding, and I did. I said, R8RBEAR! Ask him. I did. Right in the middle of his wedding. Of course, I was polite about it. I didn't act like a pro wrestler coming out to the ring at his wedding and let it rip. I told his audience that this is what I do, and this is what he loves my show, and so I got to do one for him. Edward Winchell said I'm wrong. Edward, I can't say I'm surprised. You're supposed to argue with me. Come on. If we don't draft Ginty, it's fine because this draft is running back heavy. It is, but if you don't go with the best guy, you're taking that high risk bust potential again. You know what I mean? And at that point, I don't like the pick anywhere it's at. For example, let's say we get a running back in the 4th with a 4th round pick. If he ends up being a bust, you wasted an incredibly valuable 4th round pick. So when you think running back, you think, okay, middle of the class, go 4th round. Well, yeah, but his high bust percentage or likelihood makes that a dangerous place to be paying a running back. Ginty or Graham, who you picking right out the womb? I would go with Graham. I like Ginty. I like what he could bring to the offense and everything else. But I just think that this is a tough one because I was about to say this, but now I'm contradicting myself because, okay, let me say this. It's easier to find and teach a defensive tackle to be great than it is to do that with a running back because a running back has to have so many more instincts because a running back has to have so many more instincts that can't be taught. You just can't teach the instinct to see the hole, hit the hole, because that's the play the coach called. So if it says hit the hole on the A-gap side, that's what you're supposed to do. But if someone jumps the A-gap and they're right in the middle of it, he should be able to see that, give a stiff arm or a little spin move instead of just blindly go da-da-da into the A-gap after he gets the ball because that's what he's told to do. Do you like that? Da-da-da. But whereas with defensive tackles, it's ball snapped, go get ball. It's just simpler. Be big and fierce. What are you? Big and fierce? Go be that. The only thing I worry about is somebody moving up in the draft and the Jags giving up the 5th pick. If someone's moving up to the 5th pick, that's because they're targeting someone we want. Dustin, that's very possible, and that's happened before. I'll never forget, it was like 6-7 years ago. That guy for the Niners, he was an offensive lineman, and they jumped ahead of us by 1 pick and took him. He always wore number 69. I can't remember his name now, but he was supposed to be the wild and crazy offensive lineman that was all tough and the party guy, and he ended up being a bum, and the Lakers picked him, and he was a bum. We better pick Ginty if he's there if you want to win now. We need to stop making bad business decisions. Great tattoo, Raider Miguel. I don't know if it's a bad business decision to go with Graham or Ginty there. I realize scoring's important, and it is, but wouldn't it be more likely you could find another running back with speed and jitter ability as opposed to a big, burly defensive end, which are all over the league and free agency and coming out of the draft? I would probably lean toward get a big man, then get a running back somewhere else in the draft. No, Bob, no, not how about those Lakers, okay? We're not doing that. The only thing about the Lakers I like is the L because it rhymes with losers. I just lost a lot of Raider fans. Sorry, guys. I'm a Warriors fan. Most of you know that, I'm sure. Reyes Antonio, offense needs more upgrades, so I'm taking Ginty. We need to put up points. Defense was all we had last year. I like defenses. even if it was all we had last year. I like defenses. You have got to stop people because this is the league of offense now. It changed about 6, 7, 8 years ago where the league said, no, we want 30 points a game on average for these offenses. We want guys to really light up the screen, bring up those ratings. You know what I mean? And we'll see, but so far, so good. They're doing well. Let's see. Trade back and get Jalen Walker at linebacker. Well, actually, they would want him at defensive end. They've talked about him as an edge rusher. You're right. He's a linebacker, but they've talked about using him as an edge rusher. Now, either way, linebacker or edge rusher, I like the pick. Because whenever I see ads, or not ads, but reports like that, talking about a certain player, this guy's mock draft, blah, blah, obviously then I go behind them. And I YouTube the guy, I screen him, watch some of the games they've played, and then that way I can bring an intelligent answer to the show. And I like Javon Walker. I like how he works. It isn't so much about spin moves and things. He has really good hand fighting. He looks like one of those guys that was really good at Greco-Roman wrestling in college and then transferred to football. And then now the hands and the low center of gravity in his body, the way they have balance like that other guys don't, it could end up benefiting him. Who really needs a DB, though, in the top 6, Well, I don't like Travis Hunter. I don't like Travis Hunter. I don't. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't. I do not like Travis Hunter. It feels like whoever gets him is going to get scammed. You know what I mean? It just does. I don't. I'm not saying I haven't seen him make great plays. I'm not saying he's not a great athlete. Something's missing. There's something missing there. And the way he talks, I don't know if any of you have seen him in this most recent comment he made. He said something along the line, if you're not picking me first, don't pick me at all. Because, I've got revenge against the league and blah, blah. It didn't even really make any sense. What do you mean if you don't pick me first, don't pick me at all? I mean, there's only one pick at 1. So if they don't pick you, that means every other team is, go screw yourself. You're not going to play for anybody? Come on, man. Let's see. Also, we can take number 1 if those 2 Ohio State running backs, I believe they both ran over 1,000 yards, and Chip Kelly obviously worked with them, and apparently after Ginty. So if we go Graham, we know we can get 8 to 10 solid years versus that 4-6 solid years for a running back. And it improves our defense against the Chiefs. I mean, I'm sorry, I want that. And you have to remember, we lost 2 of our best defensive backs. We have to fix those. That is glaring holes. You know what I mean? We're still looking at getting a number 1 wide receiver. Glaring holes. So we have some work to do. I don't mind the idea of trading back. I just don't love it. I thought Mark Davis couldn't sell the Raiders as long as his mother is alive. Tim, that is correct. I am not saying that there aren't factors keeping him from doing it. Because in truth, I've often said when his mom dies, that's probably going to be the first thing he does. And the value of the team has only quadrupled in the time from when they left Oakland to now. And so he's going to make just a gargantuan amount of money. Raider DeVillian, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. There was a valid point brought up. Many running backs don't get a second contract with their teams that drafted them. Wouldn't it be wiser to draft a position we'd give a second contract to? Raider DeVillian, another great comment. I really appreciate the comments tonight. Keeps me on my toes, keeps the conversation flowing, you know what I mean? And I love it. I appreciate you. And I would say this to you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they want Ginty, but at the same time, I just think you always go with the big man. You go with the big man. Mark Alvarez, family, what's going on with Renfro? Mark Alvarez in the house. What's up, brother? Appreciate you always tuning in. The Hunter Renfro thing, they're looking at him. There's interest, but I think it's along the line of, can they make him into a little scat receiver in that 3 spot or 3.5? In other words, someone starts in the slot ahead of him, and then they bring him in periodically into different slot plays as like a 3rd or 4th receiver. Is that possible? Sure. But it sounds pathetic. I don't like the idea of trying to find a spot or a way to get Hunter Renfro in under the, no. I like Hunter Renfrow. I like him. He is a Raider. He did great things for us one season and then sprinkled in a couple of just amazing things. I get it. But he has to do everything at its absolute peak, its max, or he wouldn't be able to compete in this league. Try to remember, this guy ran so hard. Sometimes he ran himself like literally out of his shoes. I mean, he would run so hard and so fast into his routes that when he caught the ball, he would be off balance and he would have to catch himself to keep from just falling down. That's because he had to put that much into every play. Because he doesn't have God-given talents. He just doesn't. He's a tremendously hard worker. I love the kid. No. We need to get better than Hunter Renfrow. It's not because I don't like him. It's not because he's not good. But we should get better than Hunter Renfrow. Anna Diaz, red code. Anna, what is that angry face about? What'd I say? I agree. Mark needs to go. He's not football smart. He doesn't know how to run the team. Sean, if your dad left you his business right now, wherever he works, would you know how to do it? You see what I mean? I know what you mean. I'm saying it's not a shot at Mark Davis. I don't think it's a shot at Mark Davis. He wanted to do it because it's millions involved. Any son would have done the same thing, including me. But at some point, once you've gotten rich, you've had a decade plus, Mark Davis has, of being in charge, availing us nothing. 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 To me, I just don't see how someone can't know that for the betterment of the team, someone else should be making the decisions. That's all I'm trying to say. Say it plain. Not only can't Mark Davis feel one of Al's shoes, he's about as smart as a bag of broken bricks and about as useless as a wet feather pillow. God, dog, Joe. I think Ginty is the best choice. He's going to be great and makes the offense even better. I like Graham, but he will be more of a rotational player. I think our D-line is looking good already. Well, Sean, he might be a rotational player, but not for very long. When you consider the only flaw that I would say Graham has is that he doesn't have great cardio, but he won't have to have great cardio because he'll have guys that can spell him, bring him in, bring him out. He gets a little bit of oxygen, comes right back out, and it's fury all over again. Personally, I like that. Corey LG, got to realize, though, Brady had a sign off on the Geno deal. He would not have, that was the one I meant. He got that. He was on that one. He would not have signed if not, it didn't think he could get wins. 4th in yards, 5. No. You don't have to sell Geno Smith to me, man. I like Geno Smith. I even like the new deal he just signed. I think it's favorable to the team. I think if you look at it, it's almost comparable to the Seattle deal he signed. He didn't really ask for more. He just didn't want less. He got 75 in Seattle, and he's getting 75 from us. Like 66 of it is guaranteed, I think it is. Hold on, I can tell you. I have it right here. I did intend to kind of talk to you guys about it, but let's see. I thought I had it right here. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Terms of the deal are 2 years. The total value is $75 million. Let's see. The average annually is $37.5 million, and his guaranteed money, oh yeah, I was way off, is $66.5 million. Now, with accelerators and things in his contract that could kick in, from what I understand, I'm kind of hemming and hawing because I'm waiting to the last second to make sure I find this number. Let's see. Okay, the $75 million could go as high as $83 million if he hits all of his incentives, but let's be honest, when does a quarterback ever hit those? Here it is. A total value of Smith's 2-year extension with incentives, $88.5 million. So it would be another $12.5 million on top. You know, that's nice, just if he breaks incentives. And I haven't looked at what the incentives are. I apologize. I didn't really find an article talking about that. I'll have to look at something that breaks down the contract a little bit more, accurate, not accurately, but in depth, let's say, surgically, intrusively. if the Giants take Ginty, it could possibly ruin his career, just like it almost did with Barkley. They need an O-line because any back in the NFL needs a little blocking help. He also needs a quarterback that, defenses can respect and fear a little bit, and they don't have that. So they're in an issue. The Giants are in an issue, in a bad one. Of all the mock drafts in the past, who has been the most accurate? I would say SB Nation, ESPN, and Bleacher Report. I'd say those three are usually pretty on. Not that they always get picks right, but even if they don't get the right guy, they usually get the right position. You know what I mean? One or the other. They're not usually totally off. It would be like if you predicted a quarterback and they got a defensive lineman. That would be totally off. But if you predict a quarterback and instead they get a quarterback, but they get him later in the rounds, well, that's just a thing where maybe the guy they wanted wasn't on the board, and now it makes the mock draft look like he's wrong, and in reality, the guy they wanted is taken off the board, and they have to go down and pick him somewhere else. Jason Polk, are we stoked yet? Yes, we are. Steven is enjoying my show. Appreciate all the stars because they go toward us doing a better show and purchasing more equipment and doing all that kind of stuff. Steven Shaw, I love you right back, brother. And Mrs. Shaw. Ward, Carter, Ginty, Graham, and Hunter are going to be gone. Sanders is there. Do we pick him or pass? Armando Madrano, I don't think we pick Sanders because we have Geno Smith. They're in a win-now mode. And usually if you go for your next quarterback of the future, it's with the idea that he's going to play either in his rookie season or year one. In other words, within 2 years of him entering the NFL, he's going to play. You're never going to see the Aaron Rodgers effect again, where they bring him in for Brett Favre and then the guy sits for 4 years. Because you didn't get to benefit from the cheap contract Aaron Rodgers had. You had to re-up him before he'd even seen the field. I mean, he saw the field in some games because Brett Favre would get hurt and things like that, but they knew what they had. He was a decent quarterback. Right out of the Cal Bears, I liked Aaron Rodgers. I just didn't like him after he started opening his mouth a lot. Raider Chivas, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Raider Miguel, and I want to be clear. I don't like when guys come in and try to strong-arm the draft. I just don't like it. I don't care if it's quarterbacks. I don't care if they're white or black. I don't like when guys try to strong-arm the draft and say, you better not pick me. You better not pick me. I'm going to Dallas. And if you're not Dallas, don't pick me. Or I'll ask for so much money in my signing bonus, you'll kick me right out to free agency. And, it's been done a lot. Behind closed doors very quietly. And I just think even there. Even though us as fans, we're not seeing it up close quite as much as we did, like when Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning were doing that sort of, I want to go to San Diego, make it happen, and trying to fix things. I don't like it. Reyes Antonio says, trading down seems like a popular choice amongst Raider Nation. It's valuable, but not as sexy. I've always liked the top-notch names and high picks. What do you do? I trade down, but I don't think that that they can do that realistically because Pete Carroll wants to win now. And by the way, guys, known commodities, guys you can trade for, guys that are already on your roster, undrafted free agency, where those guys are at least guys that have seen time and you can see whether they were having at least some success at the NFL level, are always more valued than a draft pick. Because no matter what you see on video from them when they were in college, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to bring that to the NFL. And so you always want picks because they have a track record, a resume in the NFL that shows, hey, I can do that. For example, if we want a running back, okay, cool. But if we brought Abdullah the Butcher back, Abdullah the Butcher's, he's legit. When he's not hurt, he's going to give you that 3 to 4 yards of carry here and there and give you a little speed and get around the corner and blah, blah, blah. Now, no, do you want that guy to be your guy? Of course not. You know what I mean? He gets banged up. He's a veteran for a reason. On and on and on. But when he was in his prime, what he brought to you, okay, I'm with it. Yeah, I know about Shady Brady. Armando Medrano! And This is Appreciate you, Steven. I had to get you for one. Let's see. Mark wasn't smart enough to pull off the Vegas deal, so someone else is helping him on the business side. Yes, we do know that, Vernon Moshman. There were a couple of people that are extremely powerful that control Vegas real estate that helped him get started. The reason we know that some of it is on Mark Davis is because the original dollar figure of what the estimated value cost would be to build the stadium in Vegas, $780 million or whatever that crazy number was back in the day before the stadium was built. All the people in Vegas, the money people, the bankers, the agents who have to put these contracts together, they based everything on that dollar figure. And then someone finally stopped and went, Mark, who's the investment firm or forensic attorney that you went with that told you would need that much to build this stadium? He's like, oh, no, I just thought it would be that much. What? When they were already super pregnant with the deal, concrete's getting poured, it's going to happen. And you find out that the dollar figure at the bank and the loan that he originally tried to get from all those wealthy Vegas people was a number he came up with in his head. That hollow thing that he hides in a white turtleneck year after year after year, even though the 90s and the 80s have called many times and want their fashion statement back. I'm just saying. Bear, who's going to be your next Raiders celebrity guest? You know, Reyes, I haven't done that in a while. It's hard to get guys' schedules right, you know what I mean? Because, like, the Violator is one of the best guys to hear from. I can get in touch with him like that if I really want to. He's always been cool about it, so I could do that. The only reason I don't is because their schedules are hard to fit. And then if you start to get close to the show date, and they have to cancel because of something that came up that they had to accept, like it was a paying invite to something, a commercial or something like that. And I understand that, so when they cancel with me, I say, yeah, no problem, we'll work this out another date, and then I let it go. I usually let it go because I don't want this to happen. It happens once, okay, that's fine. But if it happens a second time, now I'm starting to feel kind of stupid, you know what I mean? And so I don't even want to get to number 2. I just don't bother with that. So if I give them an opportunity and they can make it, great. Especially if they put it on their schedule and say it works with their schedule. If they say that, I expect it to happen. And if it doesn't, then, you know. And I'll be honest with you, that the Violator's never done anything like that to me. I only used his name as an example because everyone knows who he is. You know what I mean? So I'm just using a guest host that, or a guest, you know, who everyone would know. You know what I mean? But he's never done anything to me. I've never had a cancel from him. Nothing like that. He's amazing. He's a great guy. Have I had cancels though? Yes, but I don't want to say those names because I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. But yeah, if I could have some people on, I would probably have the Violator on again. Jersey Tucker was a lot of fun. She was a lot of fun. She was a great interview. Let's see, Raging Raider Rhino, he's always good. I got to have my guy, Bob Stannard, on again. He always gives me good takes on NFL stuff. All right, let's see. Would you take Will Johnson at 6 if Ginty and Graham are gone? That's a tough one. Again, bust potential's real high for DBs. Taking him at 6, you got to see some... He's good, but I don't see Deion Sanders. And to me, you don't pick a guy that high at defensive back unless you see Deion Sanders. Now, obviously, you're never supposed to see Deion Sanders. He's the god of football, but at that position. But at least someone that's this era's version of that. You know what I mean? Probably not as good, but good. You know what I mean? Is Will Johnson called the inter? But sorry, I went mute for a second there. But I don't like the idea of trying to beat the odds and bringing in a DB at 6. I don't like it. Let's see. Have you heard anything about how Christian Wilkins is recovering? Slowly. That's all I can give you. Other than that, nothing's really been talked about. Raleigh Bear fingers. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, look at it. Oh, I'm telling you. Give me a little more time, okay? It's going to be fierce. Be up there with Hercule Poirot. Only cool people know that reference. Hey, Bear, if we're going to win now, why don't we go after Tyreek Hill from Miami? Gabriel Davis, welcome to the show, brother. Cool outfit. That looks Raider Nation. I got my Raider Nation Vatos Locos guy. Look at that. My Raging Raider Rhino and my Vatos Locos Raiders. And it's got the same shield on the back, hella big. No, don't ask me where I got it. I got it at $6shirts.com. The Tyreek Hill thing, bro, sounds sad because I don't think he can play anymore, bro. I don't think he can play anymore. I shouldn't have messed with it. Now I'm starting to lose it. I don't think he can play anymore. And when I say that, it sounds strange because obviously his physical gifts are still there. You know, as recently as last year, we saw him still blazing past guys that are some of the fastest guys in the league. So why is he walking away? Don't know 100%. But what I do know is it was within a week of him filing for retirement that his wife filed for divorce. So he's going through it. You know what I mean? And then he got a couple major speeding tickets just outside of the stadium of Vegas and got kind of embarrassed because one of them made it on YouTube and the police acted like he was resisting arrest and they opened his door and dragged him out of the car and threw him on the ground. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't even. Yeah. Yeah, Tanamoku's reporting Tyreek Hill just had another domestic violence incident. Yeah, that's accurate, and I'm reporting it. I feel like I have no choice because Tanamoku's giving you the skinny here, but I don't usually comment on stuff like that. I don't. I'm all about marriage. I'm all about my wife. You know what I mean? And I want to be clear. This is my second marriage. I want to be clear about that. I failed. I made mistakes. But I've never hit a woman in my life. I never will. But I also wouldn't stay with the person I was with because of the mistakes she was making with life. You know, and we had kids, and, you know, you just can't do that. Look how personal the bear gets with you guys. I love you guys. That's just all that is just love. Hey, Mama Bear, you gotta let him see that dress. Come on. You gotta let him see the dress, Mom. It's just banging. Oh! Hey, stop looking at the goodies. Look at her eyes. Stop looking at the goodies. All right, that's my show. Much love. Shout out to our armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, Space Force, for all you do. The energy and love of this show is dedicated to your sacrifice. Active and veteran, much love. R8RBEAR! Everybody saying hi, Mama Bear. Space Force! You like that, Reyes? Let's go! All right, Mom. I'm going to do one more hour with you in my lap. Come on, let's go. We can do this. Wait, what? It's time for dinner. I love you guys. I'll try and see you tomorrow. I always say I'll see you tomorrow, and then sometimes I can't, but I'll try and see you tomorrow. So I'm going to say, see you tomorrow. R8RBEAR, family page. And happy Friday to everyone. It's an early Friday for some. Mama Bear doesn't work tomorrow. So. What? I just didn't want to say goodnight. I just want to hang out with you guys for a minute. Still got 31 people watching. It's true. I love you guys. I just...